I've been a fan of the Mustang since I was a kid. I remember the original Gone in 60 Seconds and even the Nick Cage remake, that 67 Shelby GT 500. Oh, that thing was beautiful. This is the 2024 GT. It's the 301A package. It's got the GT Performance package. It's got the custom blue painted calipers. On top of that, it's also the 6-speed manual transmission, which is definitely the way that this car should be enjoyed. In this video, I want to do a little unpacking on the 2024 GT 301A. But I also want to answer the question, or ask the question, is the Mustang GT a good idea as a daily driver? As always, you're going to find a series of different wheel choices inside of the Mustang. I do like the color of the new bronze appearance package, that wheel, but the style of the one that you're going to find inside of the GT Performance Pack is beautiful. And you do have the option of going for custom painted calipers this year. And the blue with this grabber blue exterior looks so good at the same time. The front end of the Mustang GT is mean. You've got that GT splitter in the front, glossed out grille with that pony in the very middle. And although this isn't the blue that I would go for the one that's a touch darker. That grabber blue is absolutely a head turner. I've been getting compliments on this car all week. I love that the headlamps feature sequential turn lights as well. But you're never going to find fog lamps inside of the Mustang anymore. That was done away with, I think, 2 or 3 years ago now. There's a hood scoop there, and it's a non-functional scoop, more just for like air ventilation more than anything. But it is a beautiful ride, and the one downside of this vehicle that I could see as an owner, because I'm so like attention to detail oriented, if you drive at night, you're gonna get bug guts everywhere. They're all over the place here. I was trying to like ferociously scrub it down before shooting this video, but I kind of stopped to show you what it can look like if you drive at night. It can get a little bit messy. The OCD in me is like, oh, must clean. But the front end here, I said, with bug guts, without bug guts, is beautiful. Underneath the hood of the Mustang, as always, there are 2 different engine choices that are available. So it's either going to be the 2.3 liter EcoBoost, or there's this Coyote 5 liter V8 engine. And if you were kind of on the fence of getting the active valve exhaust, I'll let you listen to that one in a second. You do get a little bit of extra power as well because of that active exhaust system. So if you were kind of sitting on the fence, the sound is even better, but you also do get a little bit of added performance. So the 5 liter V8 in the GT, 486 horsepower and 418 pound-feet of torque when you get the active exhaust system. That gets cut down by about 6 horsepower, and I think it's, 4-ish pound-feet of torque if you go for the option without active valve. And then when you go for the dark horse, that bumps you up to 500 horsepower instead, which you could technically achieve by throwing in some aftermarket cooling in here as well. And there's also more than enough space for a supercharger if you want to get some GT 500 performance instead. But as I said, the 5 liter Coyote V8, 486 horsepower and 418 pound-feet of torque. It is a respectable amount of power inside of the ride. So let's do a little 0 to 60 test. Obviously have to go into sport mode here, and we'll go in 3, 2, and 100. It's so good. Oh, damn, that's fun. Because this is the GT with performance pack, you've also got little strut tower brace there. And then I love the design of the cover for the 5 liter badge here. You've got this like faux carbon fiber texture to it with that 5 liter badge in the very middle. Transmission wise, there are 2 different options available. So it's either going to be a 10-speed automatic or there's the 6-speed manual. Inside of the regular GT, you're looking at the same MT82 GetRag D4 that you were looking at in previous years. I know some 6-speed owners are saying they have faced issues with it. I haven't seen that often though, but if you're kind of unsure, you could bump yourself up to the dark horse in order to get the Tremec from the factory, or you could always do an aftermarket Tremec upgrade to your regular GT instead if you wanted a little bit of added stability. Inside of the GT, when you get the 10-speed automatic, you're going to have paddle shifters. Inside of the EcoBoost, you won't have paddle shifters unless you go for the high performance pack. The high performance pack this year doesn't give you any added performance upgrades, but I should say it doesn't give you any extra horsepower or torque. It gives you a lot of the same features that you're going to find inside of the GT Performance Pack. It's just that there's no added power boost like what you were looking at last year. Warranty-wise, inside of the Ford world is pretty industry standard. So your basic is a 3-year, 36,000 mile or 60,000 kilometers, with the powertrain getting moved up to a 5-year, 60,000 mile or 100,000 kilometers as well. You could always bump it up at time of purchase if you need that little bit of added peace of mind, but just take care of your ride. This car will absolutely take care of you. Inside of the Mustang, you've got a series of different rear axle ratios or final drive ratios that are available. And the final drive ratio is the number of times that the drive shaft has to spin in order for the wheels to spin once. So you're typically looking 355 or 373. In the EcoBoost, those numbers are a little bit lower. And then when you get inside of the GT Performance Pack, it's got the Torsen differential instead, which just performs infinitely better than the standard stock system. You're also going to find the option for Magneride inside of the GT as well. The Magneride system takes the suspension and the handling to the next level. So one of the big benefits of that Magneride system, it's got magnetic particles in the suspension system. And then as you roll left or right as you go, it essentially eliminates the amount of body roll that you get. So as you take a quick turn, rather than your car kind of twisting like this, it might be a little bit flatter in comparison. Handling is improved exponentially. You can technically get the Magneride damping system installed aftermarket. It's just like 2 or 3 times more expensive than getting it done from the factory. And that's the same way with the GT Performance Pack like what this one has, because there are so many different features that you get. You're going to have 19-inch wheels, Brembo brakes, the drift brake. There are also heavy-duty springs, the K-brace, the performance rear wing, the strut brace underneath the hood. And then there's also unique tuning for the chassis, stability control, EPAS, ABS, and the upsized rear sway bar. Now, if you're the type of driver where you absolutely want the best out of your ride, GT Performance Pack with Magneride is the way to go. But if you don't necessarily care, you could save yourself $6,000 and just not get the whole package done from the factory. You could always do aftermarket Brembo brakes yourself for $1,000 to $1,500. So depending on what you care about inside of your ride, that's going to dictate whether or not you go for that GT Performance Pack. I do like the rear end style of the new Mustang. Technology-wise back here, there's the reverse sensing system along with the backup camera. Styling-wise in the back end, since this has the GT Performance Pack, there's that performance rear wing. Typically would be a little deck lid spoiler instead. And then the rear lamps have this nice black highlight all the way throughout. Sequential turn lights on those too, and they look really sharp lit up at night. This one does have the active valve exhaust system. And that system, I always recommend, especially with the GT, get it. Because there's no way you can add it in aftermarket. I haven't seen a successful install whatsoever. But if you're not crazy about the sound, you can always get aftermarket upgrades. So there are tips that are available from different manufacturers that do work in conjunction with the active valve system. So if you wanted to tweak the sound out a little bit more, you absolutely could. You just can't install this system aftermarket. So get it done at time of ordering from the factory. Really push on that one too, especially if you've got the GT. It sounds good in the EcoBoost, but the GT just takes it to the next level. So let's fire her up and let you have a listen. Really damn nice. I love the way that you can see the valves open and close as you go between the different modes there. And getting into the trunk of the vehicle can be done a few different ways. So there's a button just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel. You can use the key fob to do it. And then just above the license plate, you can also push. in order to open the trunk up. And there is a good amount of space inside of the trunk. And that's one thing that I really like about the Mustang is how much space is actually back here. And then lifting up, you're also going to find the option for a mini spare tire depending on how you have the vehicle spec'd out. So unfortunately, no mini spare tire available here. Folding down the second row seats, a little bit of a pain, and it's done on the inside. So you just have to pull that seat down, and there's a tab to release in order to fold down. And when you do, there's such a good amount of space inside of this ride. And then the cargo measurements for the depth behind the first row are going from right where the trunk would close to just in behind the armrest between the first row seats. So you'd gain or lose a little bit of extra space depending on how forward or backwards those seats are. Filling up fuel inside of the Mustang is done just along the driver's side. It's an unlocked cover with a capless system, but it does have anti-siphon technology built in. You can see right along the fuel door that the minimum manufacturer's recommendation is just regular 87 octane. So regular fuel is all you technically need to use inside of this car. But realistically, every single person that I've talked to that's owned a Mustang, and a lot of people that have commented, typically run at least 89 or ideally a 91 octane. The horsepower and torque specs that you were looking at under the hood are all achieved using a 94 octane. But minimum manufacturer's recommendation is just regular 87. So you can get away with 87, but especially with the GT, use an 89 or a 91 to get the best possible performance. And that also ties into the question of, is this a realistic daily driver? Because if you're the type of person where you're going to be putting premium fuel in, so a 91 octane, you're like $2 a liter right now. To fill up a 60-liter tank, you're $120-ish in order to fill that up from empty to full. So if you've got the budget for it, this would make a solid driver. But if you're on a tighter budget, you might want to look at the EcoBoost for now because you'll still get really solid performance just without that sound that you're going to get from the GT. The side view mirrors inside of the Mustang lineup all feature the blind spot monitoring system. So if somebody enters a blind spot on either side, that's going to highlight in order to let you know. The doors feature intelligent access. So as long as you've got the key fob on you, you're going to push there to lock the door, slide your hand in order to unlock. Now this is a cloth seat because it's the 301A GT, but I'll touch on the seats in a minute. But you've got that same highlight, so that same color choice matches what's going on along the door. So that's obviously going to be trim level specific, but it's going to be package specific because it's going to look different if you're in the premium model of the GT. But you've got this texturized highlight that follows all the way throughout the dash on the inside as well. A few different speaker choices that are available, with this one being the lower option. You've got your unlock lock buttons. There's the option for driver's seat memory as well when you get into those higher packages, so the premium models. Basic side view mirror controls, window controls, and some door storage with that basic Mustang scuff plate there. On the inside, there's the trunk release. Figure out what's going on with your running lamps. Always just recommend keep yourself in the auto mode for most part. And then you can increase or decrease the brightness of that cluster screen. There's a nice little Mustang highlight along the very side there. Steering wheel is going to be manual telescoping. And then one thing, I love these, the thermoplastic rubber trays that you're going to get from the factory. So these are the Ford ones specifically. You could do an aftermarket through WeatherTech, but I love these mats in comparison because unlike the carpeted liners, they get dirty, it's a pain to clean them. These things just a simple spray off to clean them instead. And then the seat. So you've got a few different options for seating material and seat types. So cloth seats, ActiveX seating material, leather seat, whatever the case may be. And then you've also got the option for the Recaro seats as well. There's a downside to the Recaros, and I guess even a downside to these cloth seats, as nice as they are. This isn't the option that I would go for. The 301A, like sure, you're going to save yourself a little bit of money going for the 300 or the 301A over the GT Premium, so the 4 or the 401A. But I would go for the 400A myself. So I don't necessarily care about the extra speakers that you're going to get in the 401A, but you'll at least have that leatherette seat that are heated and ventilated. But let's do a quick little start up here. Oh yeah, love that. Love it, yeah. We can tell it's a 301A as well. So there's a screen separation there. Otherwise, it'd be fully sealed off in comparison. But that sound is so damn nice. Hold on. Go quiet mode for a second there. And then, so the downside of getting the Recaro seats, the Recaros, if you're planning on tracking the Mustang, would definitely be the way to go. But the downside of those Recaro seats is that there's no heated or ventilated option in them whatsoever. So if you're going for a GT Premium, I would stick with the stock seat. Like, why Recaro hasn't upgraded their seats so that there's heated ventilated capability? Like, it blows my mind. It should be available as an option. But still, having the heated ventilated seats in the Premium, amazing. Like on days like today, it's not as warm out right now, like 22 degrees, but still having a ventilated seat would come in handy. So otherwise, like, you'd have heated seats, but like, I would never use a Mustang year round because I'm in Canada. So it'd just be a terrible idea. Rear wheel drive just wouldn't mix. But the steering wheel inside of the Mustang, I love the new look, flat bottom, and that same highlight along the door follows through the bottom part of the steering wheel and then along the mid part of the wheel as well. That's the same highlight along the dash there too. But this one doesn't have the available Copilot 360 Assist package, and that one's going to give you the adaptive cruise control along with factory navigation. So I've come to really appreciate the adaptive cruise control system in every car that I've driven. I haven't actually tried out the adaptive cruise control system with the Mustang that has manual transmission though, so I've had people tell me that it's a pretty straightforward process. Haven't tried it out myself, but I've used the regular cruise with the 6-speed, and it actually works really well too. You can easily shift gears out with cruise control turned on as well, which is nice. But I do like that adaptive cruise control system. As always with the Mustang, you've got your different drive modes, but I love the new look there. So damn nice. Love it. And then you've got your basic modes here, so you can choose your sport or your steering. If you're in the normal mode, it'd be a few different options there too. So hold on, let's go to normal for a second. There we go. And go to different steering. So you've got either normal, comfort, or sport steering instead. So the mode that you're in is going to dictate what's going on with available options there as well. But if you want a full walkthrough, that you actually want to know how to use the steering wheel buttons, navigate through the cluster screen or the infotainment system, you'll find that walkthrough down in the description of this video. But there's so much to the car, like even through the infotainment system here. It's Sync 4, and it's got wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. There's the option for factory navigation. So if you're in the screen without factory nav, you can still hook your phone up to use Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Waze through iPhones, or Google Maps and Waze through Android devices right through this screen wirelessly. But the downside, no wireless charge pad inside of this trim level. But realistically, even just plugging yourself in, easy enough to do there. And then speaker choices. So there are a few different options. So you can see your main speakers all over the place there. But there's the upgraded the option, I should say, for the upgraded Bang & Olufsen audio system instead. That upgraded system does sound really good, but it does come with some added weight, and you have to be in one of the higher packages. So you could always do something aftermarket if you really wanted to get better sound, but the sound in this base audio system is still pretty damn good as well. So let's go through, get to some audio here. And then for sources, like as always, you've got AM, FM, Sirius XM, Bluetooth, USB, tons of options. Okay, let's go browse through. So many options there. So ridiculous. All right, hold on. Let's go with, okay, so there is, okay, oh, interesting. Okay, so that's just going to play audio because these are video files, but it's showing them. But yeah, I guarantee if I click through, it's just going to be the audio. Yeah, it's just going to be the audio. Yeah, not supported, unfortunately. That would be nice, but let's do a few things. So start off with a little bit. I mean, the audio there is pretty good. And hold on, let's do a little bit more of like a rock rap type of song instead. Then as always, you can play with your different settings. There's, whoo, damn, all right. Hold on, I gotta see what those sound settings are like right now before we do this audio test. So tone settings, it's not too bad. So typically centered out. That's actually more or less where I'd normally recommend. Like down 1 or 2 points on treble, up a couple points on the bass in order to give yourself some pretty good audio there. All right, so same idea, coming just out of the microphone, no post-processing done.
They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous. Come and keep chasing. I got all this potential that's deep inside of me, but they hate when you're successful.
I mean, for being the base audio system, because of how damn small this cabin is, I think that's going to be good enough for most people. I don't really see the need for upgrading to the upgraded sound system inside of this ride for the extra couple $1,000 to go to the higher package. But if you really care about audio, go that way, but save yourself some weight. And I just say the regular audio system is going to be good enough for most people. But so many options. I know some people aren't crazy about having the climate control settings baked right into the screen. I'm also disappointed about the toggle switches not being there anymore as well. But once you get the hang of it, really useful. And especially using the climate control, because you can hit the voice command prompt to be able to do things like change songs, radio stations, things like that. But you'd also be able to adjust your climate, turn your steering wheel heater on, off, things like that, using your voice, heated seats, adjust your climate and things like that. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. You're also going to find the option for ambient light inside the vehicle. So you can adjust it out. You can tweak the colors across the board for not only just the display, but also for ambient light. So you can tweak that out to whatever color you'd like to. And then you can change up the display to something a little bit more unique that might suit your own personal style. So if you prefer primary, secondary, you can adjust these all out, which I think looks really sharp, especially lit up at night. But yeah, like I said, full walkthrough on how the infotainment system works down in the description. The one thing I'll point out, active valve exhaust. So you've got your 4 primary modes there as well. So quiet, normal, sport, and track, which sound really good. And then there are a series of different track apps. So because this one is a GT Performance Pack, you've got the drift brake available there. Line locks available to help out with burnouts. Launch control is available as well. One of the cool things about your launch control, so if we go launch settings here, so 3000 RPM, using it is straightforward. So you just have to be in gear first. So first gear, clutch, gas, and then you essentially launch in place. So it kind of helps you keep yourself in line as you go. So a smoother launch. But you can adjust what RPM you're going to launch at. 3000 is a pretty good one. But if you want to see how launch control actually works, I've put together a video on that one. You can see it down below. The one I can't show you, unfortunately, is line lock. So this is a press car, and Ford just doesn't allow certain things like burnouts to be done in their press vehicles, which makes sense because everyone would do them. And doing burnouts in this car with performance pack, you're going to burn through those tires so incredibly quickly. Like they're already starting to show a little bit of sign of wear, and there's 4,600 kilometers right now on the odometer. And then with transmissions, I mentioned under the hood, but there are 2 different options. So a 10-speed manual, or 10-speed auto, I should say, or the 6-speed manual transmission instead. Drift brake is awesome. If you didn't have the drift brake, it would just be a little tiny brake instead, so just a switch to go up and down that way. But the drift brake, really cool. You've got a few cup holders. On top of that, there's also a fully lockable little console box here as well, with a 12-volt power point on the inside. Glove box is also lockable. You've also got that same highlight along the dash. I like that glossy highlight though. It's good. And then you can just kind of make it out there. Can you see a little pony? That little guy? Another nice little Easter egg. Up overhead, there's the auto-dimming rear view mirror. Unfortunately, no way to turn that off. Figure out what's going on with your cabin lights. Sunglasses holder, which is there. I prefer it down by the knee. That was my favorite spot for it, but I mean, realistically, it's not too bad. If you're in the convertible, that sunglasses holder will be down by your knee instead. And there you've got the visor. Ooh, lights built in. And then this extends out. That's going to block the majority of the sun that's going to be hitting your face. But the seat comfort-wise overall is solid inside of this ride. Now, do you look at this as a daily driver though? That's going to be a matter of what do you do? So if you're constantly going to be using the car, if you've got the budget for gas, you're okay. Because if we look, so that I put on 140 kilometers so far, and I've used about, what are we looking at? 3/8 of a tank-ish. So realistically, you're probably getting about 400-ish kilometers per tank. So about a little under 300 miles per tank, which, well, it's not a little under, it's significantly under 300 miles per tank, so like 260-ish. So it's not really that great on fuel by any stretch, but if you've got the budget for it, okay. But a lot of guys that I know with Mustangs just use them as weekend drivers instead. So that's something to consider. Do you look at it as a daily driver, just a weekend driver? If you've got the budget for it, awesome. I personally would never use a Mustang year round though. Like rear wheel drive in the wintertime, just because I'm in Canada, brutal. Like could you do it? Yes. Should you do it? Probably not, especially something with the GT Performance Pack. And there's a couple reasons why. So hold on, let's hop outside here. I'll show you why. Okay, so GT Performance Pack, if you look at the splitter in the front, that is going to collect snow like a son of a bitch. It's going to be really tricky to get any sort of ground clearance at all in the wintertime. Wheels here are solid though at the same time. Second row. Like, oh, do I even show you that right now? All right, so getting into the second row is doable. But I mean, space-wise, it's not happening. Like for the majority, hold on, I'll show you. Why not? We're here. Oh, is it even going to go any further? Oh, yeah, a little bit further. Oh, the struggle. Oh, the struggle's real. Yeah, so this is what's up. This is me sitting inside of the second row of the Mustang. Now, this is the Fastback. Realistically, if it was the convertible, I could at least sit upright. But inside of the Fastback, there is a 0% chance that anyone over like 5'6" is sitting in the back seat of this car. And that's ultimately going to depend on how far forward or backwards those first row seats are as well. Because in my position, like, I mean, with the seat up, this is going to be ridiculous. Oh, will it pull up? Oh, I got to do it from the front there. But yeah, no, realistically, there is 0% chance that somebody my height is sitting in the Fastback version, unless you're hanging out like this. Not comfortable by any stretch. But if you've got kids, anchor points are there. Top tether points are up there as well. So you could convince the missus to get this if you've just got a kid, well, baby, which is nice. You've got a pocket behind the passenger side, nothing along the driver, and there's nothing else outside of that. Ooh, oh, the struggle. Oh, that's not fun. But the car is really, I love the blue, the grabber blue inside of this car. I've been getting compliments on it all week as well. It's not my favorite shade of blue. I go for the darker one myself, but still, if you like banger colors, like just attention, if you're a peacocking type of a person and you just want the attention, this is going to catch some eyes for sure. The first thing I gotta say is this is a hell of a ride. Like, there's no other way to put it. The Mustang GT has a great amount of power. I mean, great throttle response. You put your foot down and you're flying. It's a solid drive. That's one thing that I absolutely love about the Mustang GT is the pure amount of power that you're gonna find inside of this ride. It's absolutely amazing. So if you're an adrenaline junkie or if you just love that feeling of raw power, there's no comparing the 5-liter Coyote to the 2.3-liter EcoBoost. Like, there's no comparison. Like, yeah, you could do some things in order to upgrade your EcoBoost, but the growl that you get in that raw power, that's a 5-liter Coyote thing for sure. Oh, it just sounds so good. I get why Mustang drivers love their rides. This Mustang has the GT Performance package. It doesn't have Magneride though. So Magneride is going to give you better handling overall. This is still pretty damn good at the same time. Oh, damn, I love this car. So this is the last official day inside of the Mustang GT. And I gotta say, I can absolutely see why people love this car. I've never owned a Mustang myself, but I've had friends who have owned a number of different Mustangs. Their dads have owned Mustangs, things like that. And people just really love this car. There's a huge enthusiast community. And after driving it for a week, I can absolutely see why, and I really understand where they're coming from. It has been an absolute blast driving this car. Smiles all around as I hammer my foot down. I love that it's the 6-speed manual transmission as well. So, is the Mustang GT a good daily driver? It's going to depend on you. If you're the type of person where you're in stop and go traffic all the time, maybe not. If you don't have the budget for fuel, might not be the best idea to go for the GT. The EcoBoost might be more up your alley. But if fuel costs don't matter to you and you live in a warmer climate, you could use this as a year-round daily driver. In Canada, you definitely don't want to drive it in the wintertime. You could, it's just not ideal because of that rear-wheel drive. But you can find all of the build details for this Mustang and links off to Ford Canada and US down in the description. But if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone if you think they might find it helpful. And until I see you next time, take care. And then upgrade smaller components. Like you could upgrade the I thought that said bimbo. It says Bebo. Hilarious. I think that if you're just looking for something for weekend fun, the Mustang GT should absolutely